So we've got some huge updates on the shootings that just took place in the past couple days. The first of which was the El Paso shooting, which appears to have been some kind of white identitarian, white nationalist kind of ideology. The second shooting, however, is the biggest update. Many of you may have seen this circulating on the internet already, but it is now, to the best of our ability, confirmed that this guy in Dayton was a far leftist, pro-Antifa, all of that stuff. He was, my understanding is he was very pro-democratic socialist of America. His Twitter profile shows that he has his pronouns in his profile, he refers to himself as a leftist. He was pro-Elizabeth Warren, things like that. Now, what we don't know yet is his motive. Some people are alleging that he was just some kind of misogynist who had a hit list, where others are saying it doesn't matter what we think his motive may be, he held this political ideology. Look, let's be careful about the motive here, because we do have two different incidents. El Paso, this guy has a manifesto that people believe to be true. This guy in Dayton didn't have that. So the main reason I bring this up is that I don't think it matters in the end. The left is going to blame Trump, and they are, about El Paso, and they're going to ignore Dayton. And the right is going to highlight Dayton and say, regardless of what he was motivated by, this was the ideology he held, and he was deranged. I think it may be a reset the clock scenario, in a sense. If you're not familiar, reset the clock is when a male feminist is found out to have abused women. I think this may be similar to that, because it's possible this guy was just some kind of misogynist, incel kind of type person who hated women, and he ended up killing his own sister, right? This is a very tragic story. So it could be that he was pretending to be leftist or promoting this, thinking it would get him social acceptance. But in the end, I'm not going to make any assumptions. I'm just going to tell you what we know. This is heavy.com. I want to stress one very important thing. I use 99% of any story I will comment on or use as a source will be NewsGuard certified. I do this on purpose. I disagree with a lot of NewsGuard's assessments, but it is a check on my own bias, and it makes sure that I rely on a third-party service to determine what is or isn't credible, not my own personal opinion. I don't use like random blogs or anything like that. We can see here, they have satisfied every criteria for NewsGuard, meaning not only is this certified for standards of credibility and transparency, they've hit every mark. There are some sites, like I think BuzzFeed doesn't even hit every mark. Heavy does, which is impressive. I also want to stress that Heavy says Heavy confirmed the Twitter page through multiple verification factors, including a matching tattoo on both a page selfie and prominent news outlets' pictures of Connor Betts. Several family linkages to the page, similar photos, including of him and the family dog on the page, and family members' verified accounts, including its name and references to college and growing up in Ohio and Dayton. 99.9% confirmed. We can see here his Twitter account has been archived. He, him, anime fan, metalhead, leftist, etc. It was now taken down. All of this, to me, spells verification. If Heavy's throwing their weight behind it, I've done preliminary searches and found the photos as well. I believe it to be true. Twitter apparently does as well. They've taken the account down. Now, there's a really important thing that I want to point out here. Again, making sure I stress we don't know the exact motivation for why he did what he did. But we can see here, Heavy is highlighting a couple posts by Cody Johnson, I believe, Dr. Mr. Cody on Twitter. The first of which says, this guy, Connor, said, effing watch this. Even if you keep up with the news, hearing it broken down scared me S-less, which means it's working. And in this photo, we can see this guy, Cody, with his hair all, crazy, and it says, hi, the president wants to shoot migrants at the border. Now, I am definitely not one to blame a commentator for the actions of crazy individuals. I will stress, though, that Cody in the past has defended Antifa and is putting out some pretty alarming rhetoric about, saying the president wants to kill people at the border, when in fact the president is detaining people at the border. I mean, you can make your arguments fine. I'm not going to blame Cody for what this crazy person did. But Cody himself on Twitter recently referenced something called stochastic terrorism. If you're not familiar with this, it's a term that means you put out rhetoric and, say things to the point at which it becomes probable someone will commit an act of terror, even though it seems to be unrelated. I think Cody should, take a look at his own content, and I think that's why Heavy is highlighting this. This guy followed and shared Cody on more than one occasion, showing another video that says McConnell, Ryan, and why we need to vote Republicans out on November 6th. Connor saying, vote blue for God's sake. Now, I will stress, we can't play the silly game of blaming the commentators. We should all denounce political violence. And more importantly, Cody's allowed to have his opinion and be hyperbolic and say these things without being at fault for what crazy people do. I want to stress Sean King, on the other hand, openly called for and advocated this. So what Sean King is doing, in my opinion, is overt stochastic terrorism. Actually, I think it goes beyond stochastic, and it's literally like Sean King's calling for it. He's inciting terror. That's a different story. We can see here, Cody's actually saying, go vote, which is respectable. It's right, what you should be doing. We need to change the system to the best of our abilities without hurting other people. However, this one is where it gets kind of extreme. You know, you can see in this one, it looks like, I don't know if he's trying to come off like, oh no, everything's crazy. But this video scared this guy, you know, S-less, as he put it. We don't know the motive of this guy, but I will stress, you take someone who's unhinged and you terrify them, and this is exactly what I've been talking about. When you say the president is running concentration camps, don't be surprised when someone shows up in Tacoma. When you say the president wants to shoot migrants at the border, don't be surprised when someone goes nuts and goes and shoots a bunch of people. Stressing, please. I don't think Cody's at fault for this in any way. I'm just saying, if you're going to push the idea that political commentators are encouraging this, which many left-wing individuals accuse me of, even though I denounce all violence all the time across the board, well then don't be surprised when it comes back in your direction. Cody recently tweeted about stochastic terrorism, so look, man, if that's your opinion that this stuff does do this, then it's your opinion that you're contributing to it. Now, Heavy could have highlighted a bunch of other things this guy posted instead of just, you know, this Cody guy. You've got tweets where he's saying, you know, share this post if you're ready for a cold boy winter, and it shows Antifa fighting some people. Very, very pro-leftist tweets. Now, I will stress as well, the archive of this guy's Twitter account only goes back maybe like a dozen or so tweets, but I have been able to archive around 2,872, I think, tweets of his before this was taken down. Granted, they're mostly just screenshots, but I was able to capture a bunch of them, and this guy was going the full, you know, straight for the Antifa narrative, you know, saying punch Nazis, far left, calling for violence, retweeting out the far left, defending them, and now we have, you know, he went to a bar and started, you know, shooting people. So, again, gotta stress, we don't know the motivation. And the difference between this and what happened in El Paso is the El Paso guy we seemingly do know his motivation. It was ideologically driven. This guy we don't know for sure. However, I don't think it matters in the end. I think we are facing, hey, look, let me say this. Starting to look more and more like a civil war. I said a year and a half ago, it's not going to be, you know, two groups marching at each other, you know, drawing lines. It's going to be insurgency. It's going to be things like this. I told, you know, a couple months ago, I said, what you are going to see is extremists showing up and attacking people. And I've had friends who are like, come on, man, like, you really think that's going to happen? Was I wrong? In less than 24 hours, we had one guy overtly driven by ideology go into a Walmart and just kill people. Less than 24 hours later, a far leftist pro-Antifa guy, we don't yet know why, went around and tried and did kill a bunch of people and injure many others. And he was killed. So I'm telling you, it's gonna get worse. It really, really is. And you know, it's funny because when I was on the Joe Rogan podcast, I mentioned this stuff we're seeing, it's gonna lead to civil conflict. There's a lot of problems happening with the speed at which communication takes place and the ability for individuals to dig themselves into an ideological bubble. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, top down, religious, whatever. Everybody is choosing their own sources and not being challenged on them. So now we're hearing that, you know, Cloudflare is going to be removing services from 8chan. People are calling for 8chan to be banned. That will not stop anything. They'll just make a new website. You cannot stop the internet. It can't be done. You can't, and what's the alternative? Curtail free speech? I gotta say, I don't know what the solution is. But the only thing that's gonna happen in response to all this is authoritarianism, which in turn will precipitate resistance, which will speed up the rate at which the conflict starts. Imagine if you go the left-wing route. You start shutting down websites, you start banning people. Now they feel marginalized and angry, and the only outlet they have is to shock the system. When people have a chance to stand up and yell their ideas, they can get that out. When you lock them in a deep, festering corner, they radicalize themselves and go nuts. Think about if you have a governmental solution. which is going to be more police, more surveillance, then you embolden the left, claiming that Trump is a fascist and all of this, and it only will make things worse. It's kind of like a Chinese finger trap. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe it's we got to step back and stop banning people, let people have their stupid ideas, but centralize the conversation so that people can be exposed to other ideas. Twitter is banning people. It's putting people in dark pockets. Maybe the solution is to let them be on Twitter so they're consistently exposed to other ideas. Unfortunately, that's not what the left wants. The left wants everyone banned. And so long as those who are advocating for an open de-radicalization process are at a conflict with the left over how we should deal with this, there won't be a solution. It will just be conflict in the end. Because the left will blame people like me, saying that, oh, Tim's defending the speech of the extremists. It's like, I'm defending the right to free expression. Inciting violence is against the law. How Sean King got away with it, I have no idea. Maybe he won't. We'll see. The point is, we have knee-jerk reactions. Something happens, and then they put out these really annoying, childish tweets like, we begged you to let us ban the Nazis, but you wouldn't listen. And it's like, what makes you think that solves the problem? You need to sit down and calculate. God, I imagine playing chess against these people would be a walk in the park, because they're going to be like, oh, I'll move this piece here. Did you think about what happens after you move that piece? Did you think about the pieces I had on my side? And did you think about where my pieces will move? And did you reinforce your piece before doing it? I swear to God, we should make all babies learn chess to whatever capacity their brains can understand it. So these people won't just come out and shriek, I know what we do. We ban everybody and ban guns. Okay, what happens after that? Will banning guns stop the sale of illegal guns? No. Will it get rid of the hundreds of millions of guns that are already in circulation? No. Then they say, but mandatory buyback. Okay. And then what do you do about the hundreds of millions of guns that people won't give up? Then we send the police door to door. So authoritarianism. You think sending an armed police force door to door to seize weapons won't result in an escalation of conflict? I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that if we don't sit down and actually plan ahead, you get these knee-jerk reactions of people being like, ban everybody. Great. Then you segment society into, look, these people saying ban everybody, they're saying ban conservatives. They're blaming conservatives for what the extremists are doing and then blaming moderates for defending the right of free expression. There's nothing we can do to stop this. Because look, the people who are screeching ban, ban, they eventually get their way. And they have a right to express themselves. And what am I going to do about it? I believe in liberty. I have no idea. All I can say is it's going to escalate, beginning to look a lot more like a civil war. A right-wing extremist, a left-wing extremist, however you want to define them. Both committed these acts. Motivation, it doesn't matter, because I assure you there are going to be people on the right who are going to say, look, this guy held these ideologies and did this. We better get ready. This is going to accelerate things. It's going to exacerbate the problem. There are going to be a lot of people on the right, a lot of moderates, mainstream conservatives, and liberals who are going to very fairly say, we don't know why he did it. It might not be politically motivated. But there are going to be a lot of people who don't care, who are either going to say, I'd be willing to bet it was, or it doesn't matter if it was or wasn't. This is them getting violent. Don't wait to get ready. And then you're going to see people start getting ready. And you're going to see distrust and fear. I mean, I have to up security on the events that I'm doing now. No joke. No joke. We can't trust that, the more this happens, the more fearful people get. And the more fearful they get, the more lines are drawn in the sand. Now, I want to stress one last thing. It's really annoying because it's just another example of how this is going to get worse. Trump calls for background checks after shootings, suggests tying with immigration deal. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump tweeted out two things saying, we need background checks. Perhaps we can tie it to the immigration deal. I think that was a smart move. Why? He's basically saying we can compromise. You give us this, this new immigration deal and we can do a gun deal and both sides can be somewhat unhappy about it. And what is the left saying? Trump is exploiting the tragedy and scapegoating migrants. No, I think Trump is talking about what Republicans want and what the Democrats want and trying to find a way that we can agree on something. Instead, they just attack the president and accuse him of no matter what he does. It's wrong. Look, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to do another segment where I just talk about the good and the bad of the president, but I will point out, you don't got to like the guy, but can we please do something? And that's funny because that was a viral trend. Do something. Okay, well, Trump made a proposal. Background checks and immigration. We'll give both sides something they want to move forward, right? Nope, not good enough. And there you have it. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll end by saying one thing. This video will not be monetized. I absolutely know that for sure because I'm talking about terror. It is what it is. Share the video if you like it. Go to timcast.com/donate if you think it's important. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you on the next segment at 1 p.m. on this channel.